On the lush turf of the Stadio Friuli, the 2025 UEFA Super Cup became a summer night to remember, a match filled with pure drama. Paris Saint-Germain and Tottenham delivered a clash that was a tactical chess match and a whirlwind of emotions, where every pass and substitution had the power to flip the script. One team stuck to its trademark possession game. The other relied heavily on the power of set pieces. And in that suffocating atmosphere, an improbable comeback began to take shape, one that would be etched into the memory of every fan watching. From the opening whistle, Tottenham made it clear they weren't in Udine for a sightseeing trip. In the first 10 minutes, Spurs went straight for the jugular, pushing the ball forward instead of settling into a slow build-up. A split-second lapse from Achraf Hakimi, a misplaced pass, nearly gifted Pedro Porro the opener, an early warning of the dangers of Tottenham's high press. Every PSG goal kick was met with an aggressive press, with one unexpected weapon stealing the spotlight: Kevin Danso's thunderous long throws, straight out of the Thomas Frank playbook. On PSG's left flank, Bradley Barcola kept testing the Romero-Danso pairing, but despite predictions of a long night for Danso, the Austrian stood firm. Barcola's runs, while ambitious, lacked the cutting edge to truly trouble the Spurs backline. PSG dominated possession with close to 70%, but the rust from a long break was clear. The ideas were there, but the execution lacked pace and precision. Tottenham was happy to let the Parisians have the ball until the moment came to strike. Then, in the blink of an eye, they'd launch a counter or fire off a dangerous shot toward Lucas Chevalier's goal. The turning point came in the 39th minute. Spurs crafted a set piece straight from the training ground. Mohamed Kudus outmuscled Nuno Mendes to win a deep free kick. Goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario launched it into the box, and Christian Romero rose highest to nod it back across goal. João Palhinha met it with a fierce volley, only for Chevalier to pull off a stunning save. But Mickey van de Ven was quickest to react, pouncing on the rebound and smashing it home. Spurs led 1-0. In the closing minutes of the half, Tottenham locked down their defense. PSG couldn't muster a single shot on target, a rarity under Luis Enrique, and only the 5th time it had happened in his last 119 matches. Right after the restart, Tottenham showed they weren't done with set pieces. In the 48th minute, Pedro Porro floated a free kick to the far post, where Christian Romero slipped his marker and headed the ball across goal. On his PSG debut, Lucas Chevalier misjudged the catch. The ball slipped through his gloves and rolled into the net. 2-0 Spurs. It was a perfect example of Thomas Frank's new identity for this team. 2 goals, both from center-backs, both from dead ball situations, a total contrast to the possession-heavy philosophy of his predecessor. 2 goals down, Luis Enrique had no choice but to act. On the hour mark, he took off Kvicha Kvaratskhelia for Fabian Ruiz, reshaping the attack into a clear front 3. Désiré Doué, Bradley Barcola, and Ousmane Dembélé. The passing tempo increased along the flanks, and soon PSG were swarming forward, creating a flurry of chances, yet none could find a way past Guglielmo Vicario. As the clock ticked down, both managers played their strategic cards. PSG introduced Lee Kang-in and young striker Ibrahim Mbaye, while Spurs replaced João Palhinha with Archie Gray and swapped Dominic Solanke in for Richarlison. Tottenham then dropped into a 5-3-2, giving up the wings to PSG in exchange for defensive solidity. But as the minutes waned, you could feel PSG's play come alive. In the 85th minute, the breakthrough came. Lee Kang-in, barely minutes after coming on, collected the ball outside the box and unleashed a precise left-footed strike into the bottom corner, beating Vicario and cutting the deficit to 1-2. The stadium erupted, and PSG pushed forward with relentless urgency. From the 87th minute to stoppage time, the tension was suffocating. Christian Romero did his best to disrupt the flow with fouls and time wasting. Mbaye had a minor tangle with Danso inside the box, not enough for a penalty. Then the climax. In the 94th minute, Hakimi surged down the right and slipped the ball to Dembélé. Spurs were half a beat slow to close him down, and Dembélé whipped across through the 6-yard box. Gonzalo Ramos, in true poacher fashion, attacked the ball and powered a header home to make it 2-2. Dembélé had stayed onside by inches, and the PSG section exploded in delirium. By 90+6, the referee's whistle brought the match to full time, level at 2 apiece. Under the UEFA Super Cup rules, there would be no extra time. It was straight to penalties. Tottenham looked drained. PSG looked electric, but there was no chance for a late knockout blow. The atmosphere before the shootout was electric and full of nerves. Tottenham would shoot first, with the penalty spot backed by a sea of traveling Spurs fans. Thomas Frank gathered his players for a quick huddle, while set-piece guru Andreas Georgsen spoke to each taker individually, part tactical briefing, part mental tune-up. At the other end, Lucas Chevalier braced himself for the biggest mental test of his career. For Vicario, it was a different kind of moment. The Spurs faithful chanted his name in unison, their voices echoing across the Friuli night. First up, Dominic Solanke for Spurs. He strode forward and blasted the ball high into the top right corner. No chance for Chevalier. 1-0 Spurs. Vitinha stepped up for PSG but dragged his shot just wide, the ball kissing the outside of the post. Advantage Tottenham. Second round, Rodrigo Bentancur sent Chevalier the wrong way with a cool side-foot finish. Gonzalo Ramos answered instantly with a thunderous strike straight down the middle. 2-1 Spurs. In the third round, Mickey van de Ven's effort lacked power. Chevalier guessed right and parried it away. The score stayed 2-1. Ousmane Dembélé, with ice in his veins, calmly slotted into the low corner to make it 2-2. Spurs' psychological edge was gone. The pivotal fourth round began with Mathys Tel's stutter-step run-up, but his shot rolled past the post. PSG suddenly had the chance to lead for the first time all night. Lee Kang-in, calm as a monk, drilled his shot low and hard into the corner. Third round, Pedro Porro had to score to keep Spurs alive, and he delivered, rifling his strike into the roof of the net. 3-3. The decisive kick fell to Nuno Mendes. One deep breath, one smooth run-up, and a ruthless finish into the corner sealed it. Paris Saint-Germain were champions, 4-3 on penalties. It was the perfect exclamation point on a stunning comeback. Luis Enrique sprinted straight toward the PSG Ultras, fists pumping. "We are the champions!" roared across the stadium as Marquinhos hoisted the trophy under a shower of silver confetti. On the other side, Christian Romero and Kevin Danso stood frozen, their eyes glistening as the dream of lifting the Super Cup slipped away. Under Thomas Frank, Tottenham's set-piece identity shone once again. Both goals born from dead ball situations or second balls. Centre-backs Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven were directly on the score sheet, making the most of their aerial dominance and instinctive positioning. Off the ball, Spurs morphed into a disciplined 5-3-2, shutting down PSG so effectively that the Parisians failed to register a single shot on target in the first half. For PSG, the hallmark of a champion was there for all to see. The introduction of Fabian Ruiz in the 60th minute added rhythm and unpredictability to their passing game. Lee Kang-in injected attacking spark with the goal that halved the deficit. Gonzalo Ramos embodied the classic 6-yard striker with his textbook header to level the match and send it to penalties. Individually, Spurs had bright spots. Jed Spence shone in one-on-one defensive duels, Pape Matar Sarr kept Vitinha quiet, and Guglielmo Vicario pulled off a string of vital saves. Romero, wearing the captain's armband for the first time, brought both fighting spirit and the occasional flash of temper. On the PSG side, Lucas Chevalier redeemed himself after the error on Spurs' second goal with a crucial save from Van de Ven's penalty. When asked about the late game shift, Thomas Frank reflected, "I think we played a very good game against one of the best teams in the world, maybe the best at this moment in time. We had them exactly where we wanted them for 80-something minutes, until the 2-1 goal. Then, of course, the momentum shifted a little bit. The team, the players, the club, the fans. There is a lot to be happy with. It is a flip of the coin when you go to a penalty shootout." He also hinted at a push in the final days of the transfer window. We'd like to strengthen the squad, no doubt about that. We do work very hard to see if we can do that. In general, I am very happy with the squad, but in any transfer window, we try to see if we can make the squad stronger before the window closes. From 2 goals down to a 2-all draw and a 4-3 triumph on penalties, PSG turned the Udine night into a dramatic coronation. The match was a vivid reminder of a timeless truth at the top level. Skill and tactics are only half the story. It's mentality and the right changes at the right time that decide glory. As the final whistle faded, Dembélé smiled with the trophy slung over his shoulder. Marquinhos lifted the Super Cup high into the Italian night sky, and the Stadio Friuli crowd roared, "We are the champions," closing out a night of football where both sides walked away with something to be proud of.